Is it safe to travel to South Africa right now? If you ask 10 different travelers, you'll probably get 10 different answers, and they'll all feel passionately about it. Because South Africa is a place that doesn't just show you pretty landscapes or famous landmarks. It makes you feel something. Sometimes awe, sometimes joy, sometimes unease. It's a country of staggering contrasts, where beauty and hardship often live side by side, where moments of wonder are never far from reminders of complexity. I'm Stephen with the Travel Safety Network, and for more than 2 decades, I've worked in global safety and crisis management. One thing I've learned is that the places that stay with you the longest are often the ones that are the hardest to define. South Africa is one of those places. A destination with breathtaking coastlines, wildlife reserves that defy imagination, cities bursting with creative energy, and, yes, persistent challenges around crime, inequality, and social tensions. In this video, we're going to look honestly at what it means to travel to South Africa in 2025. We'll explore which areas are considered safe for visitors, which require more vigilance, and how ongoing economic and racial issues are shaping the travel experience today. We'll also look at what the official travel advisories say and what you should be prepared for if you decide to make the trip. And stay with me until the end, because I'll share a surprising fact about South Africa that might just challenge what you think you know about this remarkable country. Let's start with the big picture. South Africa is a country that can feel as familiar as it does foreign. You land in Cape Town, and you're greeted by glossy international airports, well-paved highways, and an immediate sense of natural splendor. Table Mountain rises behind the city like a watchful guardian, and the Atlantic sparkles along the coast. Drive into the winelands, and you'll find estates that rival anything in France or California. Visit a safari lodge in Kruger, and you'll discover service and safety protocols that are as sophisticated as any luxury destination on Earth. Yet in the same country, you can also encounter realities that are more sobering. High levels of income inequality, some of the highest rates of violent crime in the world, and deep-seated tensions that have never fully healed from the legacy of apartheid. These are not just statistics, they are the undercurrents that shape daily life. And for travelers, understanding this context is crucial. South Africa is not uniformly dangerous, nor is it universally safe. Your experience will depend heavily on where you go, how you prepare, and the choices you make on the ground. Many visitors are surprised by how safe and organized certain areas feel. The Garden Route, for example, is a stretch of coastline running from Mossel Bay to Storms River that is beloved for its scenic drives, quaint towns, and family-friendly activities. The towns of Knysna, Plettenberg Bay, and Wilderness are known for their laid-back atmosphere and relatively low crime rates, especially compared to the big cities. Tourists here often feel comfortable walking around during the day, shopping at markets, and exploring outdoor attractions. Cape Town, perhaps the country's most famous destination, has its own dualities. In many of the tourist zones, the V&A waterfront, Camps Bay, Constantia, you'll find well-developed infrastructure, visible security, and a cosmopolitan feel that draws travelers from all over the world. But you don't have to venture far to see the stark inequalities that continue to shape the city. Townships on the outskirts remain economically marginalized, and crime rates are significantly higher in certain neighborhoods. Even within the city center, opportunistic crime, pickpocketing, bag snatching, and car break-ins can be an issue if you're not paying attention. Johannesburg is another city that inspires strong opinions. Some travelers love its creative energy, its museums, and its role in the country's struggle for democracy. Others avoid it entirely, concerned about higher rates of violent crime. The reality is that Johannesburg is a massive, sprawling place with pockets of great innovation and culture, as well as areas where poverty, crime, and instability are more visible. For visitors, it demands situational awareness and careful planning about where you stay and how you move around. Then there are places like Kruger National Park and other private reserves, which remain some of the safest and most professionally managed safari experiences in Africa. Here, security protocols are extremely robust, and incidents involving tourists are exceedingly rare. For many travelers, a few days on safari are among the most peaceful and inspiring experiences they will ever have. The U.S. State Department currently advises travelers to exercise increased caution in South Africa due to crime and civil unrest. The advisory highlights that violent crime, including armed robbery and carjacking, is common in some areas, and that organized criminal groups often target wealthy visitors. Canada's Global Affairs Office offers similar advice, emphasizing that crime can occur anywhere, but is more likely in certain urban centers. The UK's Foreign Office and Australia's Department of Foreign Affairs both note that most visits to South Africa are trouble-free, but advise travelers to remain vigilant, avoid risky areas, and take precautions such as not walking alone at night or displaying valuables. These advisories are not intended to scare you away. They are there to help you make decisions based on facts rather than assumptions. And one of the most important things you can do before you travel is to study these recommendations, understand the nuances, and use them to plan your itinerary. It's impossible to talk about safety in South Africa without acknowledging the social dynamics that influence it. Even decades after the end of apartheid, racial tensions remain a part of daily life. Inequality between black and white South Africans persists on an enormous scale. In some communities, resentment simmers just below the surface. You'll hear debates about land reform, economic opportunity, and the lingering structures of privilege. These issues are not always visible to tourists, especially in the more affluent areas, but they are there, and they can sometimes spill over into public protests or unrest. This does not mean travelers will be targeted because of race or nationality, but it does mean you should approach conversations and interactions with sensitivity and respect. Understanding the country's history and acknowledging its complexities can go a long way toward building trust and avoiding misunderstandings. One of the most helpful things you can do is listen. Listen to locals, to guides, to the staff in your hotel. They will often give you clear and honest advice about where it's safe to walk, how to handle transport, and when it's better to take a taxi rather than venture out on foot. South Africans are, by and large, warm, hospitable, and proud to share their country with visitors. But they are also realistic about its challenges. If you're thinking about traveling to South Africa this year, consider what kind of experience you want. If you're primarily interested in safari, you can design an itinerary that takes you from secure airports to lodges where your biggest concern will be whether you remembered your camera battery. If you're drawn to the urban culture of Cape Town or Johannesburg, plan carefully. Choose reputable accommodations, arrange airport transfers in advance, and don't hesitate to ask locals for guidance about safety. And this is why, in the coming weeks, I'll be releasing a series of videos that focus on specific cities and regions in South Africa. We'll look closely at Cape Town, where to stay, how to explore safely, and what neighborhoods to avoid. We'll do the same for Johannesburg, Durban, the Garden Route, and the country's incredible national parks. Because South Africa is not a destination that can be explained in a single conversation, and your safety decisions deserve detailed, thoughtful information. So is it safe to travel to South Africa? The answer is that it depends. It depends on where you go, how you prepare, and whether you embrace the reality that a country as complex as this requires both vigilance and openness. For many travelers, South Africa offers experiences so rich and so moving that they are willing to navigate the challenges. They come away not just with photos, but with a deeper understanding of what it means to stand at the intersection of beauty and struggle, hope and history. And now, here's the surprise I promised you at the start. Despite everything you've heard about crime and instability, South Africa remains one of the most visited countries on the African continent. In fact, the World Tourism Organization recently named it among the top 5 destinations in Africa for international arrivals and overall traveler satisfaction. That means that millions of people each year are discovering that when you travel here, informed, prepared, and respectful, the rewards are unforgettable. I'm Stephen with the Travel Safety Network. If you found this video helpful, please like, subscribe, and share it with anyone considering a trip to South Africa. And remember to stay tuned for my upcoming videos where I'll break down safety region by region, city by city, so you can explore with confidence. Until next time, stay informed, stay thoughtful, and remember, safety is your travel superpower.